So your mics are broke, so we can't have a guest on for a while.
Yeah, so I got this mixer a while ago, and it's a freaking pain in my butt. I tell you.
I mean, they just screwed you over on it, didn't they?
Screwed me over. I spent a lot of money on it, and
ridiculous.
It's kind of trash.
If I'm you, I'm suing. It's that simple.
I might.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry about the quality of last week's podcast. We tried using that mixer, and it just it didn't work. So
you're lucky you got anything.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up a new one so we can get Ern on soon.
That's
Unfortunately,
right.
we won't be able to get Jess on for a while because he goes back to Minnesota. So maybe next season, or if he comes back for Easter or something.
Right.
Anyways, yeah. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Let's roll the intro.
Roll it.
Warning, the following pre-recorded podcast will blow your mind. Broadcasting to Anchor, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Recorded in Cole's parents' basement. This is Small YouTube Channels Talk.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I am your host, Cole James Anderson, here with my co-host,
Jack Xavier Unruh.
How are you doing?
I've been a little bit sick the past couple of days. Like, not sick, but just like not feeling 100%.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I don't know. It's just, I've been trying to eat healthier foods, for 2020, keeping those resolutions.
Right.
And then I had pizza. And, when you're eating healthy and then you don't eat healthy, it screws your body over.
Yeah.
I fell asleep at like 3 a.m. and I woke up the next day at 5 in the afternoon.
Wow.
It was rough.
5 at night?
5 p.m.
Wow.
That's like 15 hours of.
But when you're a little bit under the weather, you just gotta sleep it.
Honestly, yeah, that's the best way to
what I mean?
get it down,
exactly.
get it away.
Exactly.
I took some Dayquil. Dayquil works wonders.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, today we're gonna be talking about failed projects, moving on from failed projects. I think we'll kind of take turns on telling stories about failed projects. How about you go first?
Okay. Well, it's something that we all go through.
Right.
So if you're new to the filmmaking biz and stuff, you're going to have failed projects. And I think we've all learned that the hard way. You always think it's like, when you're just starting out, you always think it's like the end. You're like, oh, I'm not creative anymore. I suck. I can't think of anything. But then
tear yourself apart.
Yeah, you tear yourself apart. And then you realize it's just like, okay, you know what? It didn't work out. Full of good ideas.
There's always another project.
There's always another project. And, and we've had plenty of those. For example, back in the day on YouTube, we had a bunch of crazy ideas. We were going to make this Star Wars parody, except every character in it was going to be a cheese puff character from our YouTube channel.
Right, yeah.
And so it was like going to be this really funny thing. And so we did a ton of filming for it.
You even released a trailer for it.
We even released a trailer, yes. It was coming out.
You pulled a Cole there.
We pulled a Cole James Anderson, yeah.
yeah.
And so we put the trailer because we were super excited about it. And then we just never got the last scene filmed. And it just kind of died. And it was honestly one of our most classic pieces of work ever.
I've seen it too. I've seen everything up until, because you didn't finish the ending.
Right.
It is classic cheese puffs.
It's just iconic and it never got out there. And so, I mean, there's times when that happens and there's times where just the project idea doesn't work out, like you and I tried making a superheroes thing. It was about these two guys.
And we worked so hard on
We
that.
did. It was something that we actually put effort forth into.
Yeah, it was middle of the summer, and we were staying out late, getting stuff done. That was really fun too.
Yeah, it was. And it just, we filmed for maybe 2 days, but both those days we put a bunch of effort in. And then at the end, I don't know how that fell apart. It just didn't work out, I guess.
Didn't work out, or was it maybe people? I mean, there's always a bunch of different factors to why something doesn't finish.
Right.
In the same vein as the Puff Wars, School of Anarchy was going to be canceled because we filmed everything that we needed except for the last.
That was your rendition of.
Right. Yeah. It was
a drama.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of it is honestly pretty decent, and you guys could like make like a scene for finished Puff Wars, but it'd feel out of place because of how old you guys are now.
Exactly.
But at the time, it was like maybe a month or two after we stopped filming, and we had started running into problems with scheduling. It was the end of the summer, and I was like, okay, well, I have this alternate ending that I shot with Brock. Fuck it, let's just throw it out there and slap the alternate ending on it and call it good. And like, it's okay, but you also don't understand. Like, if it's kind of hard, I'm kind of surprised that people are like, oh, Brock's the younger brother who is supposed to be. And I was like, yeah, I'm surprised you figured that out, because Brock isn't in it the entire rest of like he's not in any of it until the end. So like, the fact that people are actually able to put that together, it was wild. Highway 46.
Yeah,
remember
that was
that?
a good one. So that was your project where we went out with, I think, a crew of 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, it was me, you, Ern,
Kooky Bud,
Kooky, Cade. We got
Ed.
That was about 5 people.
I think that was
6
it.
people. Yeah. We had, it was really fun. The unfortunate thing is I didn't have anyone proofread that script, and the main reason why it got canceled is because while we were shooting, you guys were asking me questions that I hadn't thought about before, that I kind of realized, like, oh, I should have thought about this, and this is gonna kind of make it feel weird, and I kind of realized how weak the script was.
You just had the concept down, but you hadn't thought out the fine details.
Exactly, yeah.
And
it's a shame.
It is, but these are all things that we've learned from. And
you know what? I think I do still have the footage. I probably do. And you remember? Here's another Cutthroat. You remember Cutthroat? We shot it over the summer with Robert. You were like an assassin.
Yes.
There was like very little that we actually shot of it.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. You start something and then it kind of goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Slick Trigger Prior.
Exactly.
We've had so many failed projects.
So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, you have a few options. You can recover. You can quit the project altogether and move forward. You can try to make the project better. Or you can get down on yourself, and which we've all done all 3 of those, you know. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to, what do you want to do with that?
Right? Do you just bite the bullet, move on, which sometimes is just the better thing to do.
Right? You can always come back to it.
Right. You can always come back to it, refilm it, rewrite it. There's,
exactly.
That's because with Highway 46, it was, I wanted to, because Ed had been. He was trying to like become like a writer, and I was like, okay, let's write something together. And then I realized that we didn't really look at it outside of ourselves, and that's
you
why
wrote that with Ed.
Yeah, I wrote that with Ed.
Really?
Yeah. So it was kind of be like his first writing credit or whatever.
Right.
And then unfortunately never got done.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Cox came to me after the documentary, and he's like, how would you feel about directing someone else's short film, like having someone write it and then you directing it? And I was like, I'd be down to direct if you wrote, but there's a lot of complications that comes with that. As long as he has someone to revise it, sometimes you run into those problems.
And I think that's another good thing that we can do is like, so right now I'm writing a script for a film.
Right.
And I'll just use this as an example. So if you ever are like working on something, this is something Cole and I have both done, I know. And you get frustrated, you feel like you're not really going anywhere, you know what I mean? And like you kind of run out of like inspiration, or it's not really that fun at the moment, and it's just not really working out, and you feel like it's approaching to the point where it could be an abandoned project. You don't want to be there. So what a good thing to do is step back from it and work on something else. Like I would go maybe work on one of your projects.
Sure.
Or it doesn't mean like quit filmmaking altogether right then and there. It just means, work on something else, take a step back, and then approach it maybe a week, a month later, you know?
Right.
See where you're
Even
at.
a couple days later, honestly, sometimes you just need you need stimulation from something else. Because when
Exactly.
you spend all your time working on one project, you can fall so deep into the project that and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like when I was writing Demons, I was having I was having so much fun coming up with ideas, but actually like writing it, I ran into like a lot of
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
You know, a lot of stuff with like, oh, this is going to cost a lot of money. This
Hmm.
is not flowing very well, even though I know how I want it to flow.
And I totally get that because with the movie I'm writing right now, when I had the idea for the movie, I instantly thought how I wanted the movie to start and how I wanted the movie to end. And I really, right now, I'm at the point where I'm trying to make it fit together. And there's a lot of elements that need to work together. And when you're story writing, that's a big thing. Is like you have these concepts in your head of how you know what you want. You know what you want. You just need to know how to get there.
Yeah.
And so that filler stuff. So that's why I've been bringing stuff to you, bringing stuff to Ed. We've been collaborating. So other people are also a really good resource if you feel that your project could use a little work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And something I've noticed about myself, it's really hard for me to write like a short film or like a movie or like anything if I don't know like what the title's going to be.
Oh yeah.
Are you a similar way?
Not so much. I get what you're saying though. Like you're saying like because the title is almost it's the concept of the movie, right?
Yeah.
So I'll usually think of the concept before I think of the title. So as long as I have the concept, I'm fine with writing the movie.
Yeah. I guess for me, like a lot of the times, I like to write the titles that I write are kind of like a very small preview of what the movie's gonna be like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Daddy ate my eyes. You know, stuff like that.
Daddy ate my
It kind of gives you an idea of what you're gonna watch.
Right.
You know, Slick Trigger.
Because it's the very first thing you experience
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
the whole
You know,
thing.
is this gonna be dramatic? Is this gonna be weird? Is it gonna be an action film? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Reality Bleeding. Oh, that sounds kind of like a sci-fi horror kind of thing. Perfect. You know, you hear Slick Trigger, you think, oh, that's going to be an action, people with guns, probably cops and robbers, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I like to, I don't know, titles have always been like a really strong thing because if I have the title, I can go. Unfortunately, have you ever finished a project and then not released it?
Yes.
A couple.
Yes. So like, you know how so when back in the day and even a little bit to this day, my mom is
Good old mom.
good old Ma.
Good old
She
Ma.
is our quote unquote agent.
Right.
And so, you know, it was especially like back when we first started YouTube, you know, she wanted to watch everything that we put out there because we were 9 years old, you know,
Right.
so
Yeah,
she
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure. And so from that, with each video we make, we would always like bring it to her and it kind of revolved from, is this okay to what do you think of this? Like,
Right.
you know, trying to give us some.
Because
Some
sometimes you
support.
knew that it was going to be okay that she'd let it
Right.
pass.
Right. And because, I mean, you know, she's the one that like had control. So like if she found out that something got out there that we posted that she didn't like, you know, we'd be in trouble. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
And so there is a lot of projects back in the day that we'd work on and she'd say, you know, this just isn't your guys' best work. I really don't think you guys should post this. And it wasn't that she was saying you can't post this. It was like, do you want to post this?
Right.
And a lot of times like we'd be like, yeah, of course. And then down the road we think about it and it's like, yeah, it's probably the best that we didn't post that because it's just kind of crap. You know what I mean?
I get it. Trying to think myself of finished projects that you know, I didn't release. There's been a lot of self-made short films, you know, where it's just like I'm trying to like really just hone my craft. It's like kind of like microfilms where I'm trying to tell a story by just shooting myself.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot by doing that, but it's really hard to like make that entertaining for anyone but yourself.
Right.
And then, you know,
It's more of like a training exercise.
right, yeah. And then with WPF, I got really tired of that. No shame to Joe B, but Joe B TV, I didn't, you know, I was paying him to make content for my channel, but it didn't fit my channel at all.
Yeah.
So I had to quote unquote cut him off. And I kicked him off. I didn't kick him off of my channel. I told him that I wouldn't have him be on my channel anymore. A lot of stuff that like you make and you kind of realize like, oh, this isn't great publicly, or it's just like it's not my best work.
Right.
There's a lot of my old videos on my channel are unlisted, but I put them in a playlist called like old videos or like classic Cole James and stuff, so people can still find them. But like if you go to the videos page, it's not like immediately there.
Right. So this is a question I've had.
Sure.
I'm wondering what to think about this.
Okay.
If you're in a down period of filming or something like that, creative down period, filming down period, just a down period of anything, do you think it's better to make something anyways, just to make it, A, to get it out there, B, to see what you can learn from it? Or is it better to just wait and not waste your time on that and not stress yourself out over something that is just going to make you feel worse about yourself?
I think it kind of fits somewhere in the middle. I do think that you should try to, and this is just how I act, this is just how I operate, because when I'm not creating, I feel kind of useless.
Right.
I always like to create.
Yeah.
So in that, I feel like you should always be working on something, but you shouldn't be working on something just to work on it. You need to have passion towards it,
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise it just feels empty,
Yeah.
I've been like trying to decide, like I'm kind of, 2020 is here, and I kind of, if I can find something that I can upload on a regular basis on my YouTube channel other than the podcast, I want to do that. And I was like, well, I can't do I don't want to do another update videos, because update videos, you know how update videos are.
Right.
By the way, congratulations on never ever releasing an update video in your life. I've released so many.
It's just a channel called Updates. It's just,
but I like to, I realized that like filmmaking education, those kind of videos where it's like, I showed you like D for Darius,
Yep.
or, Film Right. I can kind of do stuff like that with like, a smaller audience. People, go to these big channels looking for like, where do I get free screenwriting software? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm going to be like, okay, well, these are things that I've figured out. So I might as well, show people, because that I do actually enjoy doing.
mm-hmm.
And it's something I have passion towards, but it's something it's like a sporadic. It's not like, okay, I got to spend months writing and shooting. And,
Right.
It's kind of like take 2 days, write, shoot, edit, boom.
When you want to do it, you do it.
When you want to do it, you do it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's better to do it a little bit more consistently, because they're just normal YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But with films, that's where we can kind of like step back and be like, okay, take like a week to write, take like a month to really figure out the logistics and the budget, and then you start shooting after you cast. And it's this really amazing process that's so stressful.
Yeah.
But I love it. But it's not something that you can do every week.
Right. It's something that you really gotta put your effort into, and you gotta chip away at it.
Yeah.
So like me right now writing, it's like, I know you've probably felt this too, where it's like you want to write, what you want to do, but sometimes
you can't bring yourself to
yourself to do it, and if you did, it just wouldn't be your best work, so you don't. And
writing and editing are two of those things where it's like the most important stages, but they're also the hardest to get yourself to like pull yourself to do.
Right. And it is possible to motivate yourself, but to do it, but there's times when you just got to be like, okay, I'm not at my best right now. It's best that I just don't.
Just step back.
Don't mess with it right now. And then wait for time. So like what I'll do if I know I want to write, but I'm just not at that level of like actually doing it, I'll go onto YouTube and I'll just watch interviews of like, just like kind of not exactly along the writing topic. Maybe I'll watch Tarantino interviews. Maybe I'll watch, like today I was just watching Wolf of Wall Street interview with Scorsese, DiCaprio, and Jonah Hill. Just like things like that. And sometimes that'll just spark you to start writing.
I kind of do a similar thing. I don't watch interviews. I watch like scenes from movies.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like to watch. I go back and I rewatch the same scenes from like TV shows and stuff. Mainly just because they're like so good. Like a show like Doctor Who. It's overall, not that great of a show. Like to be completely honest, like before, like I want to say like season 3 or 4 or whatever, like it wasn't that great. But they had like this really really fantastic actor as one of the doctors, David Tennant, and it's like one of his last scenes. He like brings so much emotion to the character, and like it's so powerful because the filmmaking at the time was complete trash. You know, it's like a TV soap. It's shot like a TV soap opera, but this guy's acting completely melts away all of that. Like you don't realize that you're basically watching a TV soap opera because his acting is so good. It's so insane that you're like, holy crap, that moved me. And it was shot like a TV soap opera. You know how shitty TV soap operas are?
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
They're so trashy. I mean, like good for TV soap, but they literally like shoot day in, day out, like every single day. They put in crazy amounts of work, but it's also because like they're kind of shot like sitcoms. That's why they don't look that great.
Right.
But no, that's how I try to find motivation. Is like, you know, and I'll go back on our old stuff and I'll find our best moments from stuff. Slick Trigger, my fucking interrogation scene. I love that scene so much. Like it brings me back. It brings me back to like the nostalgia. Like, oh, okay, hopefully we're gonna have another day like that. Hopefully we can have another day like that.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm holding on to.
Exactly. And I think that like same, like if I'm like feeling if in a different way, if I'm not feeling inspiration at the moment, then I'll like what I really try to do is like go back to why I started the project in the first place and try to get back into that same mindset and look at what I wanted to do as a whole. And that can help me to, okay, I can add a few more pieces. It's like really right now what it is like I'm trying to assemble a puzzle that I made, but I don't even know what it looks like yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I can see what the box,
Yeah.
like, I get it. I know what it is, but I'm just trying to piece it together and make each thing fit. And I'm starting to see a bigger picture now. And when you throw in other elements, obviously it changes the whole thing. But as a whole, it's like you have your end goal. You can get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's especially good too when you're like, yeah, with that puzzle metaphor, I love it because you're like, sometimes when you're writing, you get on a really good streak and you're like, oh my God, and then I can do this, and then I can do this,
Exactly.
oh my God, and great, and then great moments are popping out of nowhere, and then you take the step back as you should, and you go back to revise it, you know, get someone else's opinion, blah blah blah, and then you realize things that don't quite fit. And you're like, okay, I'll take that out, revise that, fix that. Okay, that looks like, ooh, add a scene here. Ooh, to pull that line, add a line, add a character, this and that.
Exactly.
And you kind of like you're always revising. I feel like even like with demons, like I stopped writing demons, and I have about 30 pages of the script. And it's gonna be about a 2-hour movie. I feel like if I were to make it. And it's like running really slowly. And if I were to go back to that, I know exactly what I would change because I like quit writing that like 4 months ago. So I know exactly how I'd go back and fix stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Always revising. I think that's one of the best parts about being a filmmaker too. Well, if you're a like all in one, like, you know, we write our own shit, we direct our own shit, we edit it. If you're only like a director, you probably won't relate to this, but for the filmmakers that are like basically doing everything themselves, to be able to constantly, you know, be thinking about, oh, I can go back and edit that differently, or oh, I can revise that line differently, or oh, we should reshoot this. To be always thinking, because it's so stressful, but it gives you so much liberation.
Yeah.
To be able to have that freedom to be in control of everything.
And it's not just one of those things where like you only get satisfaction like okay, we'll use Slick Trigger as an example. Like obviously throughout that whole process, my favorite part was showing it in the theater and like
yes.
that was like just a whole nother level. But it's not like that's all you get. Like you don't just do it for the end product. You do it because like throughout the way there's moments of satisfaction, you know, like my first moment of satisfaction with writing this new movie was thinking of the idea and thinking of a whole new concept that I'm not going to say, thinking of a whole new concept that totally changed the movie.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. And you start like looking forward to it. It's like looking forward to like a huge vacation that you're going on.
Yeah.
And like you make steps along the way and you're getting so excited and like it's working out. And then
You're like, holy crap, this is sick. This is so
it's
good.
going to be sick. And
They-
then you'll obviously have downtimes, but those just make the good times better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's so much fun.
And then it's even better too, because like while I was writing Demons, I was like at work and I'd be like fucking mopping or some shit, and I'd be like reciting lines to myself, like making up scenes in my head, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go home and write that. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Even when you're like doing something completely unrelated, you're always thinking about it.
Yeah, it just
You're always
becomes
building
what you
on
think
it.
about.
Yeah,
you know?
it just becomes what you're always building on.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
It's like oh shoot, I had a really good analogy, but never mind.
No, was it? Were you gonna say the N word?
No.
I'm kidding.
Yep, that was my analogy. The N-word.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna go to an ad break soon, but before we do that, I want to ask you a bit of it's like a smaller hot take before we get to an actual hot take.
Okay.
Do you think that filmmaking and in general, being an artist is selfish? Do you think it's a selfish thing to do?
You know, I've had this thought before, and because you know, being the Christian man I am,
Of course.
I want to avoid being selfish as much as possible. The focus of our lives should be on others. And so I've had this thought before and I've gone through it in my mind, but what I come to the conclusion of is we all have our own things that we enjoy doing. We all have our own things that we're good at doing, and we all have our things that we're not good at doing. And so there's people in life that make movies and they love it and they love making movies. They love providing entertainment. There's people that love watching entertainment that need a break from their daily lives. And so what my view is that I don't approach filmmaking in a selfish standpoint where like I want to do this to make myself look cool. It's almost like I want to do this to give people.
I mean, it helps you makes you look
right,
cool.
right. Of course, it helps you make you look cool.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I want to give people an experience. You know, so like with this new movie I'm writing, there's a lot of mental stretches that it's really going to surprise people. And I really want to take people through this story. And so it's not so much of like a self-centered thing. It's more of like a sitting around a campfire telling a story kind of thing. You know what I mean?
You know, as the Satanist man, no, I'm kidding. I think that my personal opinion is I think it starts off as a very selfish thing. You know, when I first got into filmmaking, you know, I thought, oh my God, this is so cool that I would get to do this, and I would, you know, blah, 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 me, I.
Yeah.
And like at first, like it was definitely like that. And then I held that mindset until I finished like my first project, or like a first project where I kind of worked with people, and I realized like the impact that you can make on other people.
For sure.
Like I was kind of I think it was like around the time of like BNN.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were doing BNN, I was kind of like really cocky up on myself. I was like, oh my God, I'm on Jack's channel. I'm on BNN. I'm a regular on one of his series.
No big ish, you know. Don't
it's
talk
whatever.
to me.
Cole James Anderson. I don't even know if you know my name.
Yeah.
You should. Do you know who I am? But no, I was like on like a really high horse, like doing that and stuff. And then, you know, people really liked it. And then that's when I kind of realized, like, oh, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it because it entertains people.
For sure.
I'm entertaining my family and my friends and random people on the internet. And that's when you kind of realize, oh, I'm doing a thing bigger than myself.
Exactly.
You know, if I make a movie and I'm wearing all the hats, I'm the director, I'm the writer, I'm whatever. And, you know, basically like it's like a lot of me doing stuff, but at the end of the day, you're making a movie to entertain people, not to make yourself look cool.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's one thing that you notice the more you go into it. And it's like another thing with all our different projects we do. What I think is really, really cool about it, not only the end product of entertaining people, but on set of bringing so many different people together, you know? I mean, Slick Trigger, again, it's like the only thing we have to reference.
Until we make these other two films, it's the only example that we're gonna have.
But like you saw, like, well, and this has happened with other videos too.
Sure.
You bring together people that would normally like just like never hang out, and it's like so fun because you're interacting with these people, they're interacting with each other. You're all working towards the same goal. And it's like super cool. It's like a team of people, and so you're like their coach, but you're playing with them at the same time.
Right.
And it's like this really fun experience, and you can impact them. And like you said, you have an impact on the people that you're surrounded by. And that's the really cool part about it. So it's like they're having fun doing it too. We're all having fun. And it's just, I think, a really great experience.
Yeah. I always like being on set with people that I enjoy, with people that enjoy your presence. And I always try to start that from like the very beginning. When we first started shooting, I don't know if you remember, but we tried reshooting. I don't know if it was no. We tried shooting like it was called Slick Trigger Episode 1. And I was gonna remake the original series. And I bought pizza and we all met up here, and Steven was here. And remember Steven.
Yeah.
We literally shot for one day. And then I think we came back and we tried to reshoot some stuff. That project, I feel like, may never happen, but I do want to talk about that after the ad break. But like stuff like that, I try to bring pizza to set, so people are like energized and they have food in them, and even if they don't eat it, they know that the thought was there. That,
right.
Like, I'm grateful that you're even here.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, I can only do that so many times because we're kids, we don't have a bunch of money and stuff. But I try to show my gratefulness because that immediately creates like a tone of like, oh, okay, they respect me being here. He respects me bringing my time.
Yeah.
It's like this. Yeah. When we did that one day on set and we got pizza and we were at the event hall, the Lakota event hall.
Yep.
And I was just like, it's so fun when everyone just gets to like, kind of like chill, talk a little bit, eat, and then we get right into filming. Everyone's immediately in a good mood.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the best.
There's literally nothing better.
Yeah, honestly, it's so great. Even it's arguably better than when you see your own movie on a theater screen, which is pretty exhilarating.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, because like being the zero budget people we are, we can't afford to pay people for being on set, so we have to repay them with what we can, like gratitude and food,
and credit in the film.
And so like they need to know that they're appreciated, because nothing's worse than crabby people on set that don't want to be there.
Yeah, because we are gonna have bad days on set.
Oh,
and we have had bad days on set, and the last thing we want is people to think that every day is like that.
Right. Yeah. You want to minimize the bad days,
right?
And it's possible. You just gotta,
because even the bad days on set can be good days.
Yeah,
it's just stuff happens, and you can't always get everything done.
Exactly. Even a seemingly bad day could produce some of the best footage.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
there's been like projects. Yeah, and then watch the documentary. There's been cheese puff projects that we worked on where I'm like, okay, so I'll give this example. Stromboli's Kitchen.
Kitchen. I've only seen that once.
Yeah, okay. It's like, okay. So that day we were planning on making something completely different, and we started shooting it, and I just felt like, oh, this is awful. Like, why am I wasting my time with this?
What was it?
Stromboli's Kitchen?
No. What was? Oh, was Stromboli's Kitchen the thing that you did?
No, we wanted to do. I can't remember the other thing we wanted to do, but it was something like totally different. It wasn't comedy.
Okay.
And so like I was like, what are we doing here? And I just felt like I completely wasted my afternoon.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Ryan, sorry.
And so I get to the editing room. I edit it, throw it together, whatever. I show.
Oh man, you still don't feel good about this project.
No. And I'm like, So I show Ma and Ed and Forrest, and we're all watching it, and we are crying laughing by the end of it. Like, it is just it to this day, it is one of my favorite Cheese Puff videos ever. So you never know. So never just like you just never know. Just the stupidest things can be the best things sometimes.
Yeah, just, it's something that you have passion in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just if you're having fun with it, most likely the audience is having fun with it too. You know what I mean?
Hopefully.
That's all you can hope.
We're going to go to an ad break really quick. We will be right back.
Peace.
Hey, Jack.
Yes, Cole James Anderson.
Have you ever wanted to make a podcast?
I've always wanted to make a podcast before.
Wow, that's great. Because if you haven't heard, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast.
Really?
Let me explain.
Tell me more, please.
It's free.
Wow.
The best option. If it's free, it's gonna be lit.
I'm a broke college kid. I don't got money.
There's there's creation tools that allow you to re-record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Sick.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Not to mention, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means start off 0 listeners, and you can already get ads.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is probably the best news I've heard all day.
Dude, it's everything you need in a podcast to make a podcast all in one. So, guys, if you want to make a podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.fm to get started.
Wow. I'm going to go make me a podcast right now.
Welcome back to the small
back
YouTube channels.
Small YouTube channels. Talk podcast.
We're going to do a hot take now.
Let's do it.
Let's do one. I got a list of hot takes. Let's see who our hot take is from today. Today, our hot take is from, I am stalling while I open up my phone.
It's from Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, here we go. Lauren Pratt says, it's okay to separate the art from the artist. Think of
okay to separate the
Michael
art.
Jackson,
Oh,
Harvey Weinstein.
Absolutely, that's okay.
I think. Well, here let's get a little bit more personal, right? Okay, so let's say, obviously, Weinstein produced a bunch of movies, and you can't just immediately cancel a bunch of films because he produced them, right? That's like he's stepped back. He wasn't immediately involved in the production. He was just kind of throwing money at it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say Michael Jackson. Okay. Granted, he's dead. We don't know exactly. We don't know the truth. Okay. People make accusations, whether you believe them or not. We do not know the truth. Because I'm not any of those people that supposedly, were harassed or whatever.
Right.
I don't know the truth. But because of those accusations, is it okay to still listen to Michael Jackson music if he supposedly did these bad things with children or whatever? I think there's a line, right? Where with people that you don't know, whether it's kind of up in the air whether or not it's everyone's 100% sure. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be yeah, okay, well, we're not sure, so I'm still gonna support the artist because you cannot be 100% sure. P. Diddy, we got some pretty solid evidence on P. Diddy. All right. I don't think at that point when it's that serious and for a fact that they were pretty screwed up, I don't think it's okay then to separate the art from the artist.
So, I kind of compare this in a smaller way, to, I've said before on the show that I'm a conservative. And
canceled.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
Most of Hollywood, if not all of Hollywood, is
extremely
liberal.
Even though they do some pretty horrible stuff. Did you see the Golden Globes speech from Ricky Gervais?
I did.
Yeah, he called them out.
I love that.
I'm farther left leaning, but 95% of Hollywood is just scumbags.
Oh, absolutely, because they think they're above the law.
Yeah,
and so.
Don't get me wrong. There's good ones, but I'm sorry.
But that doesn't mean to say that just because I disagree with their views, like I can't absolutely love them as an actor. So
Right.
like Leonardo DiCaprio, liberal.
He's a liberal, and he's like almost 50, and every single girl that he's dated, when he started dating them, they were in their early 20s. You know how kind of creepy that is?
Yeah, and so
But
it's
he's
like,
a great actor,
No,
so
yeah.
it's like, well...
But I think personally, it's okay for me to say he is my favorite actor.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm not saying anything about his personal life.
Right.
I'm just saying he is when he's on screen, he's my favorite.
Sure.
You know, real life, I don't know if I can agree with his choices. I don't know him in real life, you know.
Sure,
but
yeah.
I think so. Like in other cases, you know, Kevin Spacey, you know. Let's just assume
Kevin Spacey's a fantastic actor.
I love Kevin Spacey
he
as an
also
actor.
molested little boys.
Yeah, so I'm not going to stop watching Kevin Spacey movies. Like I'll rewatch Baby Driver 100 times.
Sure, Baby Driver's a great movie.
Yeah, but it does not mean that I have to go out and say how
Right.
much I love him as a person and
Right.
agree with his life
Just because
choices.
you say that, oh my goodness, Kevin Spacey was so good in this film, does not mean that you're saying I 100% agree and support what Kevin Spacey did to this little boy.
Exactly.
No way are those two
Exact-
sentences the same. And
Yes.
people don't understand that
Yeah.
from both sides. People
Yeah.
just immediately assume. You know, if I said, oh, you know what? Good job, Trump, on fixing our relations with North Korea. The entire left side would flip on me and be like, "Oh, so you support Trump now?" And I'd be like, "No, he did. I publicly said that I liked something that he did. That doesn't immediately assume that that doesn't immediately mean that like I support him 100%. It means I agree with one thing that he did.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna know everything that I agree with except for me.
Exactly. And it comes back to on the side of you can't jump to conclusions. You can't assume. Assuming is one of the most dangerous things.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you got to.
Wow, the timing. We got Robert on FaceTime. We're going to decline it. Sorry.
Sorry, Robert, if you're
Sorry,
listening
Rob.
in.
You know, we're doing a podcast right now.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you saying? God, it completely threw off my rhythm. Damn it, Robert. Shout out to Robert. He's dropping 1039.3 tomorrow.
Let's go.
He started his first podcast.
Really?
He's getting our sloppy seconds because we started ours
That's
first.
right.
Take that,
Robert. Oh, Mr. Welch.
Oh boy. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Something about child rapists.
Yeah. So let's give an example, right? Let's give an example, or not an example. This is a hypothetical. Hypothetical. Robert, we're not throwing you under the bus. Let's say we found out Robert was a serial killer.
Ooh.
Okay. I have a much closer connection to him, and you have a smaller connection to him right through me.
Right.
But you were in one of his short films that were canceled, right?
Yes.
So
I filmed
how
a
would
scene
you-
with Robert.
How would you distinguish yourself from him?
Mm.
If like evidence was like 100% sure, they found like a body under his bed or something.
Wow,
like it was 100% sure.
So I would just.
Sorry, Robert.
I would just, to the extent of how far a public denunciation.
Cole. This was Cole's friend, so it's all his fault.
Yeah, I don't know what Cole got me into here. But as far as like a public denunciation goes, is to the extent of which I worked with him.
Right.
So
'Cause
like,
it's kind of like, I worked with him once. I'm honestly so surprised. You don't want to say that you saw anything good in him, but you also want to be like, I never saw this coming. Because if you don't say that you didn't,
right.
then people are going to be like, oh, did you know something?
Yeah.
And
Like
then-
now, if it was you that was found out to
Now,
be a
if it was
serial killer,
me, I'd
like
be-
we've collabed on a lot of things, so that would put me in a very tricky spot because I'd have to be like, I don't know anything
Rough.
about this.
You'd have to be like, guys.
It's just a podcast, right?
When he's not murdering people, he's a great guy.
Yeah. He did a documentary. Go check it out on Anderson Visual. Quick plug. It's go watch Sick Trigger on the Cheese Puffs.
No, yeah, because it's kind of like I'm gonna jump into some weird territory. Rick and Morty. There's an episode where there's like this like jelly bean king or something, and like he's like worshipped by the people. He's like this great guy, and then he dies, and then they find out after his death that he was like this like horrible like rapist and stuff, and like basically they chose to like get rid of the evidence as to not tarnish his legacy. Do you agree with that? Do you think that?
So it's almost like a Dark Knight situation where Batman takes the fall for
Right.
Harvey Dent.
Right.
Do I agree with covering up something somebody did to preserve their legacy?
Because I don't.
Well, we saw what the effect of that was in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
We saw that
It falls eventually.
the truth will eventually come out. You can only hide so much.
Right. The truth eventually will come out.
Truth is truth.
And, you know, like,
No, I disagree with that. If somebody messes up, then call them out for it.
yeah, everyone deserves to be under the same level of constructive criticism.
Exactly. We're all, I mean, if, what's to say somebody else gets a pass? If, you know, say a Hollywood star, we found out they did something awful,
Right.
but they covered it up, and then some guy on the street does something awful and it blasts all over the news. You know,
Right.
what's the difference?
Right.
I'd say it's the same. Nobody's better than somebody else. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Would you punch a baby for $1 million?
Of course.
Yeah, wow, you answered that really quickly. I mean,
I would
same,
punt a
but like
baby.
I was just kind of surprised you
Yeah.
answered that really quickly.
Yeah.
I'd love to punch a baby.
Yeah,
Hell, I'd do
come
it for
on.
$5.
The kid needs to grow up. He needs to learn his way on the streets, you know? I was punched as a baby. I turned out fine.
It turned out fine.
Yeah, fine.
Oh my goodness! Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
You get-
We're good people. Don't
yeah,
worry,
we're
you
good
guys.
people, guys. I promise.
Watch the podcast.
Listen to the podcast.
Anchor.com/FNC or something.
Anchor.fm. You always get it wrong.
Anchor.fm.
//
SSYT.
/support if you want to give us money. You know.
Has anyone given us money yet?
No.
That's all right. It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming,
Mr.
you know.
Beast, if you're out there,
You know, Mr.
you're our
Beast.
only hope.
Honestly, you know, I'd love to like hit up Mr. Beast and be like, "Hey, let's do like a challenge. Longest podcast ever.
Wow.
Like
I bet he would win.
last to leave the podcast
That would be insane.
wins like $10,000.
Oh, wait. He's in the podcast with us?
Yeah, like what if we did that?
He's so used to doing that crazy stuff, though.
well,
like,
he's never in the challenges himself, though.
he used to be.
He used to be, but he's not anymore because he likes to have other people do it.
Yeah.
What if we hit him up and we're like, "Hey, we just started a podcast. Last to leave the podcast gets $50,000."
Oh.
Unfortunately, I don't have $50,000, but you know, we'd have to ask him to get Honey or NordVPN to sponsor the video. You guys want to sponsor the podcast? Hit me up.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's sit through a 84-hour podcast.
I wonder. I would.
You would?
No.
Yeah, no. You say that for the podcast. Just say that for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's been wild. This whole 2020 so far, 10 days into it. How's it been?
It's literally insane. Like,
Did you get the new camera yet?
no.
Oh,
So for those of you that don't know, we're gonna upgrade to 4K, but this means we need a new camera.
yeah.
We went to a website and reserved it, and because we couldn't buy it because they were celebrating Shabbat.
What's Shabbat?
I have literally no idea.
Okay.
And so they're like, "Oh yeah, your orders are done because we're doing Shabbat," and then we're like, "Okay, well, this is the only thing we want from you guys." Come back 2 days later, it's gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though you reserved it?
Yep. It was in our cart, reserved, and it's gone now.
The fuck?
Yeah, I know. It's pissed me off.
Yeah. You gonna go to eBay? There are people on eBay. I know eBay doesn't seem like a very trustworthy place, but you gotta find the sellers that are trustworthy.
You gotta find your plug.
You gotta find the sellers that have like thousands upon thousands of reviews. 'Cause
Right.
those are the people that are like actually like it's like their business. you
Right,
know?
that's their
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. You can find or like even Canon, like they have their own store on eBay. Like you could go to their store and find like refurbished ones.
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
just need a cheap,
Or well, I
cheapest
guess
version.
Sony, not Canon. But yeah. We're trying to move on to 4K because 1080p looks great and all, but the revolution is coming.
It's on the way.
And if we want it to look good on big screens,
4K is where it's at.
4K is where it's at. And we also want this to be kind of future proof if we sell it. The hope is, granted, the chances of this are very low, but if we happen to do it, it's going to be a lot easier to sell a movie that's 4K than just standard HD. So it kind of helps, the
Plus,
plug.
it just looks better.
It looks
At
so
the end
much
of the
better.
day, it just looks
so
professional.
good. Yeah, I love it. I watched Dark Knight in 4K.
Minty.
So good.
And especially when we were running this, if we're running these in film festivals.
Right.
Okay. Honestly, though, how much time do we got?
We got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, I have a request for a topic to talk about because I want to take a whole podcast to talk about this.
Next episode, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next episode, I'd like to talk about how toxic a lot of the film community is.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Film / actor / theater community.
Just in the small filmmaking community, there's so many toxic people.
Like, everybody thinks I know everything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
And we're probably toxic to someone else, but like I try really hard not to,
Yeah. It's because everybody wants to get to the top and they have to use everybody else to bring themselves up. But that's a topic for next week.
Right, sure. Yeah,
I want to take a whole day to talk about that because
a lot about that. Oh my
pisses me
goodness.
off.
It's so insane. You try to be nice to people.
I know.
They just tear you down because they're just
for literally no reason.
It's the same thing we're talking about. You're not doing it for yourself. You're trying to do it for other people, and these people only do it for themselves.
Exactly.
That's how you don't get anywhere doing it for yourself.
No.
I mean, some people, like those people aren't nice people.
No, they're not truly happy.
Yeah, they're not because they're not doing what they want to do.
No,
they're hiding themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. No. Yeah, that'd be a great topic for us to talk about. Gonna get a new mixer soon, so we can have some more guests on. Then we'll have it. Then we'll be able to do at least 4 guests at a time.
Should we give a preview of who Earn is? Our next guest.
Sure. Our next guest. It probably won't be next podcast. It might be the one after that because I gotta save up some money and get a new mixer. Get a new interface,
so we can have multiple mics.
So we can have at least 4. We could have 2 more guests. It'd be me, you, and then 2 other people.
That'd be great.
Fantastic.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have our next guest sometime in the near future. Will be Dylan Ernster.
Yep.
Okay. I always get his last name wrong. I'm glad that I got it right.
Yep. We call him Earn.
We call him Earn. He was in Slick Trigger, the movie. He was in Highway 46, which was an unfinished short film that never came out. One of the ones that we talked about earlier. He's becoming a part of the team.
Yep, he says he wants to get into the acting biz, and it's always great when you hear people that want to do that because
I think we just got to figure out specifically what he's good at. Is he good at more comedy stuff, more dramatic stuff? I'd like to find someone who's a bit more good with the dramatic stuff because I want to get into more of that.
Right.
Comedy can only take you so far.
Exactly.
Drama really moves you.
That's the problem with comedy is how subjective it is because not everybody has the same sense of humor, and so it's really hard to make something that
everybody likes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
but with drama, it's a little bit easier to do that.
Yeah.
A little bit easier to, horror, it's kind of the same like comedy, like it's very subjective.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for freaking showing up today. Podcast coming out a little late today. We're sorry about that, guys. It's just been a rough. We've been sick.
We've been sick.
A little sick.
It's been.
He's kind of just like. Yeah. It's the holidays. You get sick from eating too much food.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're all just trying to get through life.
When do you go back to school?
Believe it or not, I've already started a class.
Really?
Yeah, it's called J Term, and it's through January. It's 3 weeks of a 4-hour class every single day at 8:30 in the morning, and I want to die. It's awful.
What class is it?
It's astronomy. Which,
that's not that bad.
No. So I do not like math or science at all. I got math done in high school, so now astronomy will count. So this is the only science class I have to take, but it's actually interesting.
That's good.
I'm learning about planets and stars and what's stuff out there, and it's so cool.
Yeah,
it's really really cool.
That's cool.
Very intriguing. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Just keep a freaking positive outlook on 2020 in the next decade because there's being sad and being angry. It just takes up time.
Right. There's a bright side to everything.
Yeah, there's a bright side to everything. Yeah.
You can choose to be happy. You can choose to be sad. Why not choose to be happy?
Why not? You just get stuff done that
You
way
get
too.
stuff done.
You get stuff done.
Yeah, just like Jerry Seinfeld. Get stuff done.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to episode 6 of the podcast. We'll see you next Friday. Hopefully we have a guest sooner rather than later. Check us out on freaking Anderson Visuals, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Cole James and same places. What about you?
The Cheese Puffs, YouTube, Instagram, Dorm Boomin', YouTube, Instagram, Late Night Boomin', YouTube, Instagram. That's pretty much all we're running right now.
Check out my documentary that I dropped on Christmas Day. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of time in the making. And then listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's also on YouTube.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Come back next week because it's going to be a juicy topic.
Juicy.
We're attacking the toxicity.
That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, or excuse me, listening.
Yes.
To the Small YouTube Channels Talk Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Small YouTube Channels Talk Podcast with Cole James Anderson and Jack Unruh. And don't forget, new episodes every Friday.